If Justin played like this every game for the rest of the year, is he the guy going forward?
See, I feel like no matter what at this point, I feel like I'm a bad guy to ask this to because I'm kind of in that territory where it's almost like my mind is made up. Because, but again, you got to hear me out.
Okay.
Because I think what it is with me is it's kind of like it's not even about Justin though. That's where I want to be so clear. Like this is not about Justin. Like it's not. This has nothing to do with Justin. I think this has much more to do with, with the results and the ramifications of skipping out on Caleb if he is who I think he is. You know what I'm saying here.
Well,
like,
I personally would like Drake May over Caleb.
See, here's the thing though. I want to address this for what it is because I feel like this is starting to become the narrative that's gaining traction. Look, Caleb's like intangible mental makeup. I know it's been in question. Look, I'm gonna be clear. I'm kind of starting to question it too. Like some of the stuff that I see throughout the last couple of years, especially the last stuff recently about the way he handles adversity and situations and stuff like that, it is a little bit of a turnoff from the sense of you're going to need someone who's at the highest level mentally, who can deal with the most stuff mentally, who's able to travel the world and do all this stuff. And you got it. You need someone who's mentally really, really there. But at the same time, I've been asking myself, like, this is going to sound bad because I'm usually not the type of guy would ever, like, I'm like even questioning myself. How am I even saying this? But I think with a guy like Caleb, part of it is where it comes down to it, though, is where it's like, he looks at it like, look, I'm not a professional yet. Like, it's like all this extra stuff people want me to be doing
fair.
and being at the highest level professionally. It's like, but I'm not a professional. And it's like, I know my worth. Like, I know my talent. Like, I could sit here and bullshit everybody and put on a fake superhero cape and be super Mr. Media while I'm not getting like paid to do so yet. Or I could just, be myself, ride on my talent until I'm getting. But then again, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but if that's the type of person you are, then it's like kind of hard to change it just because you're getting paid. So it's like that pretty.
Once you get paid, it's almost like you don't have incentive to change it.
Yeah. So it's like, that's the thing though, is again, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but Caleb's raw talent, I do just think it's just risky to pass on. I mean, it's just where it's almost like I'm taking that shot at this point. If I have that number one pick for sure, especially, I think this week even just reinforced it with that shot. I mean, that throw again. I don't mean to sit here and be on my like the Zach Wilson pro day, like referring to one throw. But that's the thing. It's not like that with Caleb.
Yeah.
I mean, that last week, that throw he made stepping up the pocket, dialing the ball down the field 60 yards. It's just stuff that you don't see college athletes like ever doing.
I mean, here's my thing. I think, and they are different players. I think when you look at like the flaws in Justin Fields' game, obviously this is going to have a lot to do with who Caleb Williams' coordinator is, similar to Justin Fields, who his coordinator is. My thing is they have like more of a similar play style than Drake May. They're more similar than different. And my thing is, if as an athlete, Justin is a better athlete. So my thing is, if you're going to go with Caleb Williams, you might as well just stick with Justin and grab Marvin Harrison, one of the top guys. Now, if you're going to move on from Justin, then I'd say you go get Drake May, because May is different than Justin. He's much different than Justin.
No, that is true. See, you really just put a thought in my head I haven't even ever said, because I haven't thought about it till just now.
Yeah.
But you know what I've just thought about, that this is actually my biggest thing about going forward with Justin that makes it kind of volatile. Because we always say, right, like this trend we're going towards with mobile QBs, like you see it very quickly.
Yeah.
How if they rely on their legs a lot and the legs work, but then that you get even just one injury where it starts to affect it, and then you notice they come out and they're not running as fast as they were before.
Yeah.
And then they get injured again, and then he's definitely not as fast as he was before. And my point I'm trying to make is, if a guy like Justin, who his game is not like 75-25, it's like 50-50, if not 60-40, the running is better than the passing. Where it's like if you take if even that just gets hurt in the smidgenest, like it's kind of like RG3 stuff, where the value goes down of his game
very
so
fast,
much.
Yeah.
Where you get what I'm saying? It's like,
which is weird
like
because we saw him
Justin
run the most this game coming off. It's a thumb injury, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, no, exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say is I feel like it's like with Justin, yeah, you can build that offense around him while he's still fully healthy. But I think the reality, and he showed us where it's like Justin's not like Lamar, where he runs around all the time and gets hit all the time and always bounces right back up. Like Justin takes a couple hits every once in a while. You're like, damn, it looked like that really stung him. It looks like he's like really hurting from that.
He takes big hits.
Yeah, like where it's like you don't see that, and that's why Lamar's like the one exception to this rule.
He always gets out of the way of contact.
Right, like Lamar's the one exception. Even with a guy like Josh Allen, a lot of times I'm looking and I'm kind of like, is the reason maybe even this year is an example that some of these times where he'll make tweak plays and things like that happen is because you almost like you take that contact enough and you start to almost like psych yourself out with what's going to happen, what could happen, and you make a mistake instead of just, you know what I'm saying here?
Right.
Like I'm not even to bring Josh Allen into this because now I'm going all over the place. But my point that I'm trying to make is I feel like with Justin, I just feel like still his legs are too much of the game. Whereas if they ever get taken away, it's not enough for me to commit to him long term.
To be fair, I will say this. I watched him do some things in the past game this week that I've never seen him do. Like the way he stepped up in the pocket, some of the throws he made while he was being contacted, like that is the best I've ever seen of Justin Fields, like playing quarterback. I'm not talking about as a passer. Like obviously the Washington game was probably one of his best games as a passer, but just like the little things he did this game are something that I've never seen at the pro level. And I was very impressed. Whereas like my thing is like, if he were to do this every game for the rest of the year, I would be okay moving forward with Justin, because my thing is, okay, next year, year 4, year 5, you can pick up year 4, year 5, like the team should be in competition mode. So then if you want to go ahead and move into a new quarterback, at least you have the team built. And then you're on the rookie contract. So maybe this is the plan all along. But we can stop talking about Justin Fields and the future and just kind of go into like what this loss was. Like it was a coach's loss. Like this was a loss by the coaches.
Well, this, I think, again, this is like a lot of other coaching staffs that we'll talk about as we go into more games here. But this was your guys' one this week. Like I said, there's a lot of other teams that had this week at the same week. But the week where you guys realize that if you move forward with this coaching staff, there's nothing ahead.
No.
There's not. I mean, there is. There's regression. That's what. If you move forward with this coaching staff, there's just more regression ahead. Because Eberflus has showed. Not only is he not a head coach, at this point, it's concerning because his defense has been what's been failing a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Where it's like the defense. But look, I know the defense has been on a little bit of a hot streak the past few games. This is exactly why I said what I said with the Bears. Unfortunately, still is with a guy like Eberflus at the helm. I don't trust them. No. I just don't. And I think this was your guys' week where it's like, look, we got to move. No matter what, it's not going to happen in the middle of the year, I don't think. But after this year, there's no way you can move forward with the staff.
No, we can't. I mean, the nice thing that you do see is that like players that we recently acquired, whether draft or free agency, like are performing. Roshan looked like a beast. TJ Edwards in the last 4 weeks, 49 tackles and 1 interception, something you wrote down. But I just want to point out, through the first 10 games of being a Bear, he holds like the tackle record. So TJ Edwards is vastly overperforming his contract, and someone who is not is maybe Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, he had the pick, but he just has been injured. Hasn't been bad, but like not what you paid him to do. Definitely. And also not. Like at that point, like I would have been cool spending the money elsewhere and just running it with Edwards and Sanborn.
So what you're saying, I was gonna say, so what you're saying is another year or two of this, Tremaine is getting.
Yeah, and that's
the thing about his contract is you don't have to pay that thing if I'm not mistaken long term.
No, it's like a 2-year deal basically.
Yeah, what's the point if he keeps this up? I'm sorry.
Which is another good safety net by Poles. But kind of going in like Montez Sweat had. So like the defense is coming along, but when you give up 14 points in the last 2 minutes and 35 seconds, albeit to a very, very good Lions offense, you know, I think you broke this down. And I think this is what separates the Bears the most. And they said this on PFF today, and I think this is a great way to put it. The Lions went from losing ugly to now they're winning ugly. The Bears can't even lose pretty. They can't even win ugly. Like, that's the thing is like they can't even lose in a good fashion. It's always like a very ugly way. And it's like you could just tell like the culture difference between these two teams in those last 2 minutes. Like, bro, when the Bears missed that deep shot to Tyler Scott, I was like, oh, game's over. We lost. We lost the game. Like, I knew at that point we had lost the game. It was just...
You guys went Derek Carr at the end. Literally. You guys took some inspiration from Carr. I had to point that out.
It was bad. But, you know, Montgomery had his game like... I'm on Raw 8.
I mean, he's been on a tear this year. I mean, one game this year under 5 receptions. I mean, that is just absurd.
The Bears forced 4 turnovers and lost this game. Like, that's how, like, I don't mean to, like, talk about the Bears so much compared to the Lions, but it's like the Lions came in, fumbled away an easy victory, and then made it a hard victory on themselves. But the fact that they still did it just shows you that they're built for this thing long term.
Good, I'll say from the perspective of like any good team I've ever watched and appreciated. I think that the reality is you're always going to have a couple of those games a year. It is. That's why I'm so tired of when we go to the comments and you motherfuckers want to act like we're supposed to get every game right. The reality of the situation is, guys, look, different teams show up different weeks. I wish I could predict. I wish everybody could just predict when everyone was going to feel like showing up. But I mean, hey, man, look, the reality situation is teams show up, and that's the point. Is sometimes you're going to show up in the way that they didn't expect. Sometimes, oh, look, maybe we didn't prepare certain things. Why? Oh, my goodness, everybody's head's not in the right place, and you don't show up the way you're supposed to show up. But guess what? You know what good teams do? Is that they right the wrong halfway through, 3/4 through. That's what good teams do. Like, that's just a reminder to you if you're a Lions fan. Like, you guys are a good team. Like, that's what good teams are not going to play perfect every week. You cannot. I don't care how good you are. But that's what good teams will do is they'll pull it out from the jaws of defeat. Exactly what they did.